Welcome to Life Planning 101, brought to you by Smart Money Group and Kennedy Financial Services in Eastland, Texas. Tune in every week as we share important information to help you and your family live life on purpose. Insurance, investments, legacy and tax planning, and much more. All covered now on Life Planning 101.
Good morning and welcome to Life Planning 101. My name is Angela Robinson with Smart Money Group and Kennedy Financial Services here out of the big town of Eastland, Texas, and we are talking about a big topic. It's called taxes and retirement. Now, I have a question. Do you like tax-free money? Okay. Yes, that was a little bit of rhetorical question, and I get it, but it is for a good reason. And that good reason is I was reading this article last week, and it kind of took my breath away. I don't know if you know who Ed Slott is. He's kind of a retirement account guru in this industry. I've learned, I can't tell you how much information from him over multiple years. And he put out this article, and he was talking about how many people are actually contributing to IRAs and Roth IRAs. And he sourced this article based on some research, and this research was unbelievable. It came out that in 2021, only 15% of U.S. households actually contributed to a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA. 15% in 2021. And that's kind of astounding because if you think about it, there's much more than 15% of our population that's working. Now, that didn't attribute to how many people are putting money back in a retirement plan or yada, yada, yada. But what really got my attention about that number was not just the 15%, but if that was for both traditional contributions and Roth IRA contributions, that means that even less people contributed to a Roth IRA. Okay, so herein lies the problem. And I've talked about this on Life Planning 101 many a time before. As a nation, we have been creating these ticking tax bombs with our retirement plans through our employers. Now, thanks to Secure Act 2.0, which just came out at the end of last year, there has been a lot of change with retirement plans in the way of adding in Roth features to those plans, even so much that the employer is going to be able to make Roth contributions as matching contributions, and that's never been done. And I do suspect that this will help tremendously. Now, if you're expecting your employer's plan to have all these bells and whistles on it today, as we're sitting here in this show in March in 2023, that's probably not going to happen. These financial institutions, it takes them time to get these things set up in their systems and make sure that they're working appropriately. Much more, you've got to revise plan documents and yada, 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 yada. So I say all that, but let me back up and simplify things here. We are creating a ticking tax bomb in this country because people are putting money back inside of their retirement plans, and that has been mostly tax deferred money to this point. Well, with tax deferred money, the way that works is when you put the money into the plan, you get this nice little deduction. So your taxes go down. And I'm sure you had that conversation with your, HR person or tax professional on why you would want to do that, right? And then it's going to grow in there tax deferred. But here's the tricky part. Remember, the IRS is going to they're going to get you coming or they're going to get you going. And so in this case, they're going to get you going. So when you retire and you start pulling that money out, every penny of it that was tax deferred and the growth on that tax deferral is going to be taxable. Well, if that's the only vehicle, the only access to money that you have in retirement, let's assume in a year that you need more than what you would normally take out because you're going to remodel the kitchen or you're going to buy a car or you're going to blah, 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 and you're I don't know. What that means is you're going to be taking money out that is going to be taxed. And remember, we're in a progressive tax system, so that could throw you up into another tax bracket. And oh, by the way, how are you going to pay those taxes? Oh, yeah, you've got to take more money out to pay the taxes to cover the taxes. And then you cover the taxes to cover the taxes to cover the taxes to cover the taxes. This is no joke. This is really what is happening in our nation, and it's a crisis. And so when I read this and I realized that people still are not putting money back in Roth IRAs, it really got my attention because this is something you need to be working on one-on-one with your professional. You need to know, how do I plan for tax diversification in retirement? You have to plan for that. And if you're not planning for that, you are exposing yourself to probably the single largest threat in your retirement, which is taxes. So, why in the world would more people not be putting money into a Roth IRA? Well, we wrote an article this week. I didn't put this in the article. And I do realize that most people, it's all about the here and the now. They go to their account and they say, oh my gosh, my tax bill. How do I lower my taxes? Put money back in your retirement plan. Tax deferral, right? So we do this to ourselves. And we don't think about when I'm sitting here 20 years from now and I'm retired, what's my tax bill going to look like? But did you know, even if you are putting money back in a retirement plan, there's still a good chance that you could put money back in a Roth and you could start having that tax diversification. Most people don't know that. So this brings in the second question. Why in the world are not more people putting money back in a Roth IRA? Well, we have a saying that we've used a lot, and it's a confused mind says no. A confused mind says no. Well, what I've already told you, you're probably sitting there head spinning. Okay, how does that work? Or how does that work? Or you've thought about a couple things. Putting money in a Roth IRA, putting money back, period, investing, period, can be confusing. And when you add the component of a Roth, there are so many rules that it just gets overwhelming. And I think people just throw up their hands and say, oh, it's just not simple enough. I just don't have time to deal with that. I don't want to deal with that. Okay, so here's my goal today. I am hoping to remedy that feeling because I am so invested in the fact that people need to know what they don't know. And you don't know what you don't know about your future tax situation. Therefore, there is a simple truth that you do need to know, and that's to work on tax diversification for your retirement. So when we come back, I'm hoping to remedy this confusion on Life Planning 101 so you know whether or not you should be looking at a Roth IRA for 2023. Or, by the way, before April 18th, which is our tax filing day for this year, you could potentially still put money back for 2022. You're not going to want to miss this show right here, Life Planning 101, when we come back. Welcome back to Life Planning 101. My name is Angela Robinson with Smart Money Group and Kennedy Financial Services, and we are talking about tax-free money. Sounds exciting, right? Well, it sounds exciting. It is exciting, but getting there is kind of like your mom telling you to eat your peas. You got to eat your vegetables in order to have the reward here of a successful tax-free bucket in retirement. And we were talking about Roth IRAs before the break, and just astonishing how many people are not putting money back in a Roth IRA and ultimately, contributing pain to misery with this ticking tax bomb that we keep talking about so many retirees having today. And I really do believe it comes down to people just being confused about what they can or cannot do, or not even knowing what they can or cannot do. So I'm going to give you a simple truth right here, right now, about Roth IRAs and being able to get money in a potentially tax-free retirement bucket if you set it up right? There are always caveats and things you have to do. So here's the simple truth. If you have an IRA, if you have a qualified retirement plan, like a 401k, 403b, 457, simple, whatever that is, and or you or your spouse have earned income, then there's a very good chance that you have the opportunity to put money in a Roth account this year. That's a lot of options, isn't it? So reality is you probably have the capability to do this. I'm going to tell you there are five primary ways that you can put money in a Roth IRA, and we're going to break those down. The first of which is a Roth IRA contribution. Okay. Second of which is a Roth retirement plan contribution. That's like your 401k if it's set up to be a Roth. Third will be a Roth conversion. That's where you take pre-tax money, maybe you put it back in an IRA or 401k or yada yada, and you convert it to an IRA or to a Roth IRA. Number 4 is a backdoor Roth IRA contribution. I'll explain. And number 5 is a mega backdoor Roth contribution. Okay, so let's back up because we're going to visit these one at a time. And I want to go back to the simplicity of what the Roth IRA is. If you set it up and do this correctly, what will happen is you put the money in after tax, after you've paid your income tax on it. If you invest it and it grows and you take it out at retirement, it comes out to you tax free. Again, has to be set up that correctly. There are rules. There are things you need experts to be able to help you with these Roth vehicles, such as a 5-year rule. Okay. You may have heard that, but the reality is that's how it works. Okay. So that's the power of it. Think about years and years of accumulation and potentially tax-free returns. Powerful, right? So let's get to the Roth contribution. This is the first and most basic. Much like an IRA contribution, you put it in before the tax filing date of April 18th in the following year. There's a contribution limit on that. And then if you're age 50 or older, you can have a little catch-up contribution on top of it. Well, for 2022, that limit was $6,000 for the basic contribution limit. And then if you're age 50 or over, then you can add $1,000 to that. So you could put $7,000 back into a Roth IRA as a quote unquote traditional contribution. Now, it's important to understand that there are income limits to that. On this week's website, we're going to have a chart that shows these. So make sure you go to www.kennedy-financial.com. Sign up for our weekly life lessons newsletter. If you're not already on it already, if you are already on the weekly life lessons newsletter, you can refer to that to see these income limits. And they're significantly high. For a joint couple, they start phasing out at $204,000 of taxable income. So it's not, if you make $70,000 a year, most likely you can do that Roth contribution. It doesn't matter if you have another 401k or not, or whatever it is. In 2023, those limits actually go up. It goes up from $6,000 to $6,500. So technically right now you could end up putting, 7 plus 75, $14,500 back into a Roth for 2 years of contributions. And if your spouse can do it too, then you could double that amount. That's a pretty good amount. Okay. Now, if you don't meet the income limits, there's more to come. Just hang with me. So that's the basic. Number 2 way to get money into a Roth account, Roth retirement plan contributions. So I believe with the Secure Act, pretty much every retirement plan is going to have the option to have a Roth account. This was not the case in the past. So some 401ks have a Roth account. Some 401ks do not have a Roth account. And it's important to know what your plan has, or if, under the new rules, when it's going to occur, so you can plan accordingly with your advisor, your retirement plan advisor, on what you should be doing here. But let's just say that it's a 401k. I like to use a 401k because a lot of people are familiar with that. The contribution limits are pretty generous with the 401k. So, but it does depend on the type of retirement plan for these numbers. But with the 401k in 2023, because this is, remember, deferral from your paycheck. It's not like you can go back after the fact and add money to your 401k. You have to have it taken out of your paycheck, your actual paycheck. But for 2023, you can contribute as much as $22,500. Now, remember, a lot of retirement plans have some type of match on that, which is great. They may match up to X percent for the first percent of your income, or they may match a flat percent of what you contribute. It's all dependent on what that plan says. But just remember, that piece is 100% return on your money. I'm a big fan of that. Okay. And the second piece is if you're 50 and older, there's an additional catch-up contribution for that as well. And that's as high as $7,500. So someone age 50 and older could put as much as $30,000 back into a Roth 401k for this year. And thanks to that Secure Act 2.0, employers are going to be able to make matching contributions in their Roth account as well. Very powerful. Now, let's get to number 3, Roth conversions. Man, if you have listened to Life Planning 101 over the last several years, I know you have heard me bring up Roth conversions. Why? Because we are historically at some of the lowest tax rates in history, There is a sunset on the current tax rates. There is also this little thing called debt that our country has. And, I don't know if we have a decreasing population right now. We have a lot of immigrants coming in, so I guess we'll know these numbers later. But as of a few years ago, and actually, if you look at a world population, you hear, people talk about this all the time. The world population is decreasing. So if you just do the math, if we have a large debt, we have more output and less people, that's higher tax rate. So, what does that mean for our future? It's not a guarantee that taxes are going to go up, but if they are historically at some of the lowest rates in history, I think it is prudent for people to be looking at what this could mean for their retirement, because really, taxes could be the greatest threat to your retirement. Taxes and healthcare. Inflation is a threat, yes. Political stability is a threat, yes. Investments are a threat, yes. Taxes, huge threat. Healthcare, huge threat. You have to pay attention to these things and plan accordingly. And if you don't have tax diversification in retirement, you're just increasing your risk. So a Roth conversion allows you to get money out of a taxable IRA today and convert that money where it's potentially growing tax-free to come out tax-free in retirement. Oh, yes. And another benefit to this. The market has been going through somewhat of a small pullback, if you haven't noticed, over the last almost year and a half now, and it may get worse before it gets better. This is a great time to be converting dollars because you could actually potentially convert shares at a lower cost, and then when the market rebounds, my goodness, wouldn't that be wonderful to have all that growth, that rebound done tax-free in your account. So that could also be an added benefit to looking at Roth conversions in 2023. Now, this all sounds like music to your ears, but don't forget that when you do this conversion, that every dollar you convert could be taxed as taxable income. I say could be because I don't know your IRA. I don't know if there's after-tax dollars in there. I don't know what that looks like. You're going to need to get help on that. That's very important. But you need to know it is taxable income. That could affect how much of your Social Security is taxed, what your Medicare premium is. Could affect a lot of things if you have other benefits that you're receiving or other phase outs that you're receiving. So you need to work with your retirement planner, and they need to involve your tax advisor to make sure that everything's supposed to work out the way it's supposed to work out based on your plan, and it's worth your while. Not saying it won't be. In fact, most of the time, anytime we get an opportunity to do a Roth conversion, I'm a huge proponent for it when we're looking over the very long term, even if for a second generation situation. But every person's situation is unique. Different future, different goals, different family dynamics, different times they're going to need to take that money, different tax brackets, other income, all of those things are a factor. So this can't be done in a vacuum. Now, when we come back on Life Planning 101, we have 2 more strategies to talk about. They are in relation to a backdoor Roth IRA and a mega backdoor Roth IRA. You aren't going to want to miss it. Welcome back to Life Planning 101. My name is Angela Robinson, Smart Money Group and Kennedy Financial Services. And I tell you what, if you have missed any of the show talking about Roth IRAs, we've been talking about how to get money into Roth IRAs. You need to go back and listen to this. Go to our weekly life lessons this week. Read the article that we're putting out that's in conjunction. It's just too powerful to be able to get money in a potentially tax-free vehicle. Just way too powerful. So let's get to the last 2 options. We've covered Roth IRA contributions, Roth retirement plan contributions, Roth conversions, but let's talk about backdoor Roths, okay? And this became a big topic of interest a couple years ago because they were looking to take some of this availability off the table in Washington. Well, they didn't. And so with the backdoor Roth IRA, basically what you're doing is you are contributing to a non-deductible IRA and then converting those dollars to a Roth IRA. What's the benefit? Well, you remember the income limits that we talked about early on that you may or may not be able to contribute to a Roth IRA contribution? Well, you can contribute to a non-deductible IRA without any income limitations. So it's just a backdoor into being able to get money into a Roth IRA. Sounds like, well, why didn't we just do that? Period. Sounds easy. Wait a minute. As always, there's something. And then again, this is why people probably don't contribute to Roths. They're just confusing. But the reality is that if you have other IRA money that was pre-tax and that conversion could trigger some taxation, like a Roth conversion, because it's done on a pro rata basis of what's after tax and what's pre-tax. Bottom line, proceed with an expert and caution! ! So that's that one. Then there's the mega backdoor Roth. Now, if you have a retirement plan that allows for a backdoor Roth IRA, this is not something to overlook, because even though your deferral limitations for that 401k are what they were earlier, we talked about if you're age 50 or over, they're around $30,000 this year. If you're under that, they're $22,500 this year. But the actual maximum amount you can put into a plan in 1 year is $66,000 for 2023. So this means technically you could take the difference between that $66,000 and that $22,500 and make that as a contribution, as a non-deductible contribution, and backdoor that into a Roth. That means that someone over the age of 70 could actually put $73,500 into a Roth account via their contributions to their retirement plan in 2023. That's why it's called mega, for sure. Now, yes, I said I was going to simplify things, and we went right back into the deep end. We're good about that on Life Planning 101 if you aren't familiar. Roth planning is not simple. It's not simple, but it's so powerful. Tax-free money. Having the potential to have that is huge. So it is well worth your investment. And what I would say is, with all this in mind and all this confusion, I want to leave you with 3 simple, here's your simplicity truths. Number 1, if you have an IRA, if you have a qualified retirement plan, and or you or your spouse have earned income, there's a very good chance you have the opportunity to put money into a Roth account. Number 2, seek the help of your retirement professional. Do not try to do the job alone. After all, this is why I have a job. But in reality, there's too many missteps that can happen that could create huge tax bombs. You don't want that. You're looking to get rid of tax bombs. And number 3, remember, almost with anything, you can either play now, procrastinate, not do anything, and pay later, or you can plan now and play later. Your choice. My name is Angela Robinson with Kennedy Financial Services and Smart Money Group right here out of Eastland, Texas. God bless you. Have a great week, and be sure to join us next week right here on Life Planning 101.
Thank you for joining us for Life Planning 101, brought to you by Smart Money Group and Kennedy Financial Services. If you have questions, you can email them to lifeplanning@kennedy-financial.com. Don't forget to learn how our sister company can assist you with all of your tax, bookkeeping, and consulting needs. You can find out more at briscoeandassociates.com. Be sure to tune in next week for more Life Planning 101. The opinions expressed herein are those of the firm and are subject to change without notice. The opinions referenced are as of the date of publication and are subject to change due to changes in the market or economic conditions and may not necessarily come to pass. Any opinions, projections, or forward-looking statements expressed herein are solely those of the author, may differ from the views or opinions expressed by other areas of the firm, and are only for general informational purposes as of the date indicated. Securities offered through Calton & Associates Incorporated, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC. Investment and advisory services offered through Smart Money Group LLC. Kennedy Financial Services and Smart Money Group LLC are separate entities and are not owned or controlled by Calton & Associates Incorporated.